Good deal. Okay, everyone. Well, it is 1 o'clock. I just gave a very quick little intro about us converting everyone from attendees to panelists, but I'll go ahead and give my 30-second spiel again, just in case you missed it. We are going to be converting everyone from attendees to panelists, and reason being, we would love for you to turn on your video, be able to mute and unmute yourself as much as you would like. We want to make this as engaging of a time together as possible. So don't be afraid to ask questions, turn on your videos. We'd love to have a conversation with you. So, but we are so excited. You guys are here with us for our 5 Levels of Mastery webinar. My name is Courtney Graham. I am the Chief Marketing Officer here at Princeton Mortgage. And again, so glad that you guys chose to spend time with us today. In just a couple of moments, I'm going to turn it over to Mark Gordon, who is our Chief Revenue Officer at Princeton Mortgage. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear what he has prepared, what he and the team have prepared for you guys today. Becoming a master is all about the journey, and that's so much about what we talk here at Princeton. The joy is in the journey, and we're really excited for you guys to be introduced to kind of this concept that we've been thinking through over the past couple of months, and what it looks like to really self-evaluate where you are, where we all are right now, identify where we want to go and what that journey looks like. And Mark's going to throw a ton of content at you today. He's a fast talker by nature, but he's going to throw a lot of really awesome content at you. There are going to be way too many things, way too many actionable steps that you're going to want to say, hey, I want to start doing this now. And you might feel overwhelmed after the webinar, and that's okay. We definitely will make sure that you get the webinar content, so it's something that you will be able to refer back to. You'll get a copy of a recording of the webinar as well as the deck. But I'm so excited. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mark. Mark and I have worked together for, I think we're going on 4 years now. And I think one thing that makes me really excited for you guys to hear from Mark is I think that Mark is one person that I can really point to that has lived this journey and really taken the initiative to transform his life and move up in terms of his personal levels of mastery. So I'll hand it over to you, Mark.
Awesome. Thank you, Courtney. I really do appreciate it. And we'll kind of hop right in. Again, as Courtney said, it's a lot of content. If you have questions, hop in, throw them in the chat. We'll try to address those things as we go. I'm going to try to keep my stories down to a reasonable level because I want to be able to get through the stuff, and then we'll hopefully have some time for some questions and answers at the end. Hold on. There we go. All right, 5 levels of mastery. Cool. So here's what we're going to cover today. First of all, what are the 5 levels of mastery, and why do we have 5 levels? Why do we break it up this way? It's really so people can self-evaluate where they are, where they've been, and really where they want to get to realistically, and kind of break it down that way. We're going to go over some things to help you identify what level you're at right now. We're going to help you figure out kind of if you're ready to take the journey to become the person who can get you to a higher level, and realize it's not about doing 1 or 2 things differently or convincing yourself to do them, but it's really about becoming the person who's capable of doing those things on a regular basis. And we'll talk about the difference and the nuance there. And then we're going to kind of go into our framework of objectives, key results, scorecard, and calendar that are the 4 pieces to really help you start implementing the change that will take you through the journey. And so I'm excited about going through that stuff with you guys. There's a delay here on my page turning. All right. Hold on. Come on. All right, so here are our 5 levels. Everybody starts off in the beginner level when they come into a new industry or take a new job. Then you're gonna get to this worker level here. We're gonna talk about the differences in that and what this journey is from 1 to 2. The professional level, which these people are incredibly successful, and we're gonna talk about kind of those differences there. And then we're getting to rarefied air from there, which is the leader, and talk about team development. And then the rainmaker, which is somebody who's really bringing in business in a different way and is living their lives in a completely different way as a result. So we'll start with level 1. This is when, by the way, this applies to really anybody who's in commission-based sales, whether they're loan officers or realtors or other things. And it applies to a lot of other areas of life as well.
I have someone that wants to show your house on Monday at.
We will meet there. So, all right, level 1 loan officers. Number 1, you're just getting started, new to the business. And most of the time, they're taking a risk. They're not making enough money to survive in this first stage. And you know when you're here, right? Because it feels desperate. It feels like you're doing desperate things. They don't know where their next loan is coming from, and they're not really sure if the plan they have right now is going to work, or really, they may not have a plan at all. They may be kind of going in that haphazard way. And we all started there, right? Even if you had a great mentor or kind of a different role, we all start in that place right there on those level 1 loan officers. And here's some of the stories at the bottom are kind of what I hear when I'm coaching level 1 loan officers. I need more loans if I'm going to continue to be a full-time loan officer. I know I should be working more, but I don't know what to work on. And the stuff I am doing doesn't seem to be working as well as I would have hoped. Most of my leads come from my close friends or family members, and it's not enough, but it's a start. And so you know when you're in that entry-level phase, right? The question is, how do you know when you're out of that entry-level phase and when you're in this level 2 stage? So level 2 is where most loan officers are, and most of them never leave it. That's weird when you're doing a 5 levels thing, but most loan officers across the country, more than half, are in this level 2 stage and will always be here unless they make changes. So let's see if this sounds like you. You're riding the pipeline roller coaster. You have business, but when you get it, it almost feels accidental. You never know where it's coming from. I don't have a disciplined plan or process yet. I am making enough to live on. In fact, I could be making good money. Some level 2 loan officers are well into 6 figures in income, right? But it feels accidental. So you can convince yourself you're doing great, but you're still living life in a certain way. It doesn't mean you're failing, right? They're making enough to live on. They know how to do the job of loan originator, but they don't yet run a true process. Right? It doesn't feel like a predictable, scalable system. So here's some things I hear. I have some loans, but I know I should be doing more, and find that generally I'm not hitting my goals for production or for income. I'm busy, but not consistently productive. Overall, I am working about as much as I think I should be, but the hours are sporadic, and I find myself doing work at odd and inconvenient times to appease my borrowers and referral partners. In other words, I'm working at the whim of other people and not working on my business with a real plan. Some weeks I'm so busy I don't get to do any prospecting, and other weeks it seems like I have nothing but time. This is the seesaw, and we see it all the time with loan officers, right? So I sell a bunch of loans, I get my pipeline, I babysit my pipeline in a paranoid way, I get those loans closed, oh no, my pipeline's empty, go back and do some more prospecting, get it going, and I'm on that pipeline roller coaster. And again, this is normal, right? These people are a lot of times they're working hard, they're succeeding in some way, they're getting traction, but there's always this chaos in the business. And really, even when they go to level 3, which we'll talk about in a minute, the chaos doesn't go away. They just get slightly better at managing it, or they have a couple of really amazing special skills that help them jump to that level 2 to level 3, right? You all know that kind of salesperson where it seems to come naturally and they work hard. You guys also know people who work really hard and it doesn't come naturally. Sometimes that can be differences between level 2 and level 3. But again, congratulations. You're making a living, you have a career if you're in level 2. And so there's nothing to feel bad about when you're in that stage, but you do want to identify, if you're here, what are the things you're going to need to change to get from level 2 to level 3? So here's what level 3 looks like. I close a lot of loans. I make good or a great amount of money. I know people in level 3 who made 7 figures last year. This is not an indictment of how much money you make. This is about the way you're living your life in your machine. Okay. I also know some level 3 loan officers that made $100,000 last year, but these people are successful. You're well into the better half of loan officers. In fact, really, you can be in the top 10%, at the fringe of the top 10%, and still very much be in level 3, maybe even in the top 5% and still be level 3, depending on how you're living your life and building your system. So level 3 is awesome. Congratulations if you're here. You're crushing it, right? So I have a sustainable plan. They spend time growing their business. I have a business that still completely relies on me. I may feel that more business means more chaos, and I find myself never being able to get away from the work, right? And I'll tell you some really cool stories about some level 3s. By the way, this is my favorite group to work with. right? They've shown incredible discipline. They've made it in a bunch of different ways, but they're still not always happy. In fact, most of the time they're not if they're living in this level 3 chaos. Because people who are in this level 3 zone get here because they're achievers and they push themselves and they drive to get to a certain spot, right? And they literally go until they're about to burn themselves out. So let's see what that looks like, right? I'm producing a lot and often hit my goals, but my business feels chaotic and I feel like my deals won't close if I'm not on top of it. I may or may not have an assistant, but it feels like I need more help either way. I'm killing myself and working around the clock and it never seems like enough. My family and friends get mad at me because I'm often being pulled away at inconvenient times. I feel like I'm successful, but I don't know if the way I am working is sustainable. I thought I'd be happier considering the amount of money I'm making. Most of my business comes from a handful of realtors and I routinely get referrals from friends and family. This keeps me really busy, so I don't get to prospect to new partners as often as I would like. These are people, I talk to loan officers in this group all the time who are doing so well. And I can't tell you on my recruiting calls over the last year how many of them have started crying, literally crying on the recruiting calls. Grown men, grown women, making more money than they've ever made before in their lives last year in the greatest market in the history of time to be a loan officer, breaking down on the call. Mark, I just got back from my vacation. My kids and my husband are so mad at me. I spent the entire day in the hotel room, fielding phone calls and fixing problems. I can't trust anyone around me to get this stuff done. And then they'll start to get really kind of bitter about it too. Everyone I hire is an idiot. They just can't figure it out. No one can do it as good as me, right? And they're frantic, right? And by the way, they're like, man, all I ever wanted was to make this money. I'm making it. I have financial freedom. I can do whatever I want. And I feel like I'm in a prison. I'm actually thinking, they tell me I'm actually thinking about quitting the business altogether. 20 years in, I had a woman tell me in Minnesota, $50 million producer, $60 million producer, crushing it. She's like, I think I got to get out. As if there was no other way to run your business, no other way to do it better, no other way to live a better life. Like she had to keep going for more, but couldn't figure out what things she had to change to make herself happy, right? So this is an incredible group of people. These people are achievers. They're doing the hard work. Some of them are maybe working 80, 90 hours a week, right? But the system itself is still dependent on their individual will and their willingness to push themselves to those limits and the need for more. And sometimes it comes from a healthy place, but most often it comes from an unhealthy place. So what's the difference? How do you get to level 4? This is like the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of loan officers in the country most of the time. This is rarefied air if you're true level 4. I know some level 3s who have like half of level 4 stuff going on, but to truly get to level 4, it's a real journey and it takes a ton of work. Have proven a reliable business process, are very successful, feel that there is a calmness to their chaos. I'll never forget this. There is a loan officer, clear level 4 operator. Not that he has a ton of more production than the level 3 guys, he does not. But when rates dropped at the beginning of the pandemic and we called him, his answer was, so-and-so's refi shop, what can I do for you? Every other loan officer's frantic, panicking, running around calling different people. And this guy sounded like he was at the spot. Couldn't be more relaxed. He's like, I got my team and my process. I know what I'm doing. I've been here before. I have a team of difference makers with defined roles around me. They're able to I'm actually able to put my phone down and take a vacation without fear that the sky will fall. I see a continued path to growth, and I spend upwards of 10 hours a week on tasks that will help me grow my business, otherwise known as prospecting. Become an expert on time management, leading them to continuously increase their income per hour worked. The biggest jump from level 3 to level 4 is level 3 is I need more, I need more, I need more. And level 4 is I need more productivity from the time I'm spending at work. And it's living your life by those different thought processes. Here are some of the things I hear from people I coach in this group. My business is doing great. I have a support team that gets my loan closed with only occasional help from me. I feel good about how I spend my time and usually do the activities that only I can do. I'm excited to see how much production I can add next year. I can go away for a few days, leave my computer at home, and know that everything will be okay. I'm working hard, but I feel like I have a good grip on my business. I have a routine and it's working for me, and my success feels sustainable. When I'm with my friends and family, I can be fully present. iPhone games aside. I have a bunch of realtors, referral partners, and realtor teams for which I am the preferred lender. I am constantly picking up new referral partners through marketing and prospecting. These people are happy, at least at work. They're operating in a zone of sustainable genius where it doesn't all depend on them all the time, where they aren't getting sucked into work that somebody else can do, where they're focused on their return on the investment of time and how they can maximize that to get to the next level. They sound different when they say hello. You know these people, you can recognize the way it feels when you meet these people differently from the level 3s. There's a calmness to it. Level 5. I only share this so that you guys know what it looks like. This is probably the top 1 or 2/10 of 1% of loan officers nationwide. Well, I have here only about 250 LOs in the country are at this level. So it's rarefied air. They're the leaders of a multi-million-dollar team or organization. They have a larger team handling everything from loans to marketing to business development. Know that their role is to focus on growth and building relationships. Know that if they disappeared for 3 months, the day-to-day would continue to run smoothly. These are the rainmakers. These are the people who have a natural gift and work a process to continue to deliver new business and build new relationships and really are completely out of the loan level work at this point. They're doing only the activities that are going to drive massive amounts of business that really keep a bunch of other people gainfully employed. Here's some of the things that you might hear from these people. And I spent a bunch of time my first year getting into retail interviewing these guys. And these are literally things I heard when I was talking to these people. Not that I've ever been able to hire one of those people, but it was amazing to have the conversations. Like Jay-Z said, I'm a businessman, right? These people know that they're not part of a business. They are the business. They are generating that revenue. They're producing over $100 million per year, and they run a well-oiled machine. I know where my deals are coming from and what my plan is moving forward. They know their marketing costs and their operations costs of every loan and every deal and where the money's going. They have a business plan, and it's a well-oiled machine. If I went away for a month and left my computer at home, my business wouldn't miss a beat. I work when I want and how I want. My team is a well-oiled machine, and the work I do is coaching, managing, and system building through them. I have created and developed meaningful business relationships with real estate offices or home builders, plus everyone in my community knows me as the mortgage person, which leads to a steady stream of referrals for my team. When I work my plan, new business and opportunities just find me. Right? This is rarefied air. And what you learn about number 4 and number 5 is you need to be a real leader of people. And you need to get really qualified people, high-level people, people that you would want to work with yourself, to want to follow you because they see value in either learning from you or working with you or the opportunities of being next to you. And so it's a very different skill set than what gets you from level 2 to level 3, level 1 to level 2. It becomes about your team and about the people around you in your business. Questions about those levels before we move on? Here's another thought. My experience with loan officers, when I ask you guys to self-assess generally, is you think of yourself as being a half a level further along than I think you are when we dive into the coaching. So if you were like, I think I might be level 4, you're probably level 3. If you think I might be level 3, you're probably more like level 2. And I say that not to like diminish anybody at all, but to start from the framework of, actually, I want to go back to the foundation of the level I'm still even partly in, more than trying to strive necessarily for the level that I'm trying to get to. Self-assessing where you are and being honest about the things that are holding you back is the first step to getting through some of this stuff. So how do you level up? The good news, you are the problem. That also means you can be the solution, right? Take that radical ownership on that journey. It's not just if I did this, this, or this, then I can level up. It's about becoming the person capable, right? This is one of my favorite quotes. I need to become the person who is capable of doing the activities that will lead to the results I want. So often we think, I just got to do this stuff. I want to lose weight. I just got to go to the gym. I want to lose weight. I just got to not eat this food, right? But how long does that last? Well, only as long as you're incredibly focused on getting that one thing. But if the noise comes in and it doesn't become the most important thing to you in the world, and you haven't become the person capable of behaving that way, you revert back. We've all had this experience in some area of life. I'm going to read a book a week. Usually we fail. Usually when we set goals like that, we fail because we think it's a matter of will. I'm just going to try harder. Most of the time it's not. Will only get you so far. Will works if you're focused on one thing. Fortunately, most of us lead multidimensional lives. I have a wife, kids, a job, hobbies, friends. All of those things pull me in a million different directions that make it so that will cannot be the thing that drives me forward to the next level, because my will, the thing I am most passionate about doing at any one moment, will change. So I have to change who I am and how I operate and develop good habits around those things to make those changes. So this jump from level 2 to level 4 is a huge jump. And I want to take a minute to talk about that for a minute, because I think most of you guys are probably in level 2 or probably will get to level 2. Most of the time getting level 2 is just a matter of want to and willing, right? Level 2 to level 4 is becoming a whole different version of yourself. So it's not about the amount of money you make, it's about who you are and how you view your work and live your life. In general, I find that if somebody is a solid level 2, level 3, level 4, and they show up at Princeton, dive into our coaching program and adopt all of this stuff, and you do it really fast, you can level up in 6 months. I haven't seen anyone yet jump 2 levels in anything that took less than 2 years. I say that to you guys because I'm not going to come up here with a trick or 2 or 3 that's going to level up your business. You're not going to leave here with the thought of like, Mark told me I just got to send those note cards and everything's going to be great. That's not what it is. It's actually about getting you to think of this stuff as a journey and knowing that you're in it for the long haul. And it's about developing skills over time that are going to lead to differentiated results. There are no shortcuts on the journey. So growing 3 levels might take a lifetime, but actually the reality is most people never do it. Most loan officers will never get to level 4. Many will never get to level 3. And it's because they don't think of themselves with a growth mindset. They think of themselves as, this is who I am, and I need to will through it as much as I can, but this is who I am, and I can't change. The difference, and what I hope you'll come out of here with is, no, actually, this is not who I am. This is where I am. That's okay. And actually, there is a defined path to go down for me that I can change over 6 months or 2 years on the journey that will lead to differentiated results. And the good news for all of us is that life is long and we get a lot of cracks at this journey. And so we want to enjoy the journey along the way. So again, I need to become the person who is capable of doing the activities that will lead to the results I want. Most of us know what we should be doing. And if I was going to sit here and do a webinar on you should do this stuff, you'd be like, oh, that was nice. And then we wouldn't do it. It's about how do I develop the habits around actually getting that stuff done. All right. So how do we do it? It comes down to these 3 things: mindset, skill set, habits. And they're in that order. By the way, this is not from the School of Mark Gordon or even the School of Princeton Mortgage. This is stolen directly from Larry Kendall and Ninja Selling. And I think it's one of the best selling systems I've ever read about. Mindset, skill sets, and habits, right? Mindset, first thing is become conscious of the things that we're already doing every day. You already are operating in a world of habits, good ones and bad ones. Most of them you don't even think about as habits because they're so ingrained in you and have been since you're a child that they're not something you even have to think about anymore. We're running on autopilot almost all of the time. We have to as human beings. We run very complex lives. We have to remember to eat, to sleep, to brush our teeth, to get dressed, to take care of our loved ones, to pay our bills, to get the car washed and the dry cleaning done and do the laundry and clean the house and shopping and blah, 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 just on and on and on. And we can only make so many decisions. We only have the energy to make so many decisions. So around all of those things, we have habits, and they get created for us without any effort from us. We have this amazing ability in our brains to create habits without thinking about them at all. The problem is that often we create bad habits and we don't think about them, and we're not intentional about it. And so all of this comes down to systematic positive habit creation and systematic destruction of the negative habits that are causing negative behavior. There are many people on this call that I'm sure get home from work every day and either pop the bottle of wine or they crack open that beer and they don't think about it. Suddenly they're sitting on the couch on the channel that they usually watch with the beer open and they're ready to go. And some of you guys may have been deliberate. That may be a good habit for you. You like it's a positive choice. For many of you, it's probably not the best habit. You wish it was a little bit different. Maybe you go over to the fridge or into the cupboard and you grab something else and you eat the same things, whatever. And you know, if you had all of your mental energy in that moment, you would make a different food choice or a different beer choice or not drink it or whatever else it is. But you don't have the energy to make all those choices, so you have habits. And so we got to get in the mindset of saying, this is where I'm at. I need to run my brain differently and build new habits and skills over time. That's why you can't jump 2 levels in less than 2 years, because there are probably 50 habits that are the difference between level 2 and level 4. And you can't change them all at once. You can only change them one at a time. Skill set. Once you have the right mindset, you need to keep improving your skill sets to become an expert at what you're doing. And most of us are really willing to do the skill set work if we can do the mindset work first. Very rarely do I find somebody who's growth mindset, going to do the stuff, developing new habits, and they're like, now that I've got it, I don't want to learn how to do it the right way. Right? The skill set part is easy. We're drawn to that. In fact, the story we tell ourselves most of the time is if I just get the skill sets right, I'll get different results. But the reality is you can go to 100 sales seminars and never get any different results if you're not changing your habits because you won't do the stuff. It's not a skill set thing. So it all comes down to these habits. Oops, sorry. Develop positive habits around the things that you no longer want and need to stay conscious about. How can we make it on autopilot that we get up every day and meditate? That we write down our gratitudes? That we send out our 2 note cards? That we make our phone calls to our prospects? That we don't open our email and start doing the urgent stuff as soon as we get up in the morning? That we don't check our phones right before we go to sleep at night, right? That we do the thing. And by the way, the most important habits you want to focus on are developing good habits around the things that you currently get anxiety or angst about, right? Because what do? We have avoidance behavior. If you're going to give me a choice, I choose not to eat the healthy thing. I choose to eat the thing that's going to make me feel better right now. And I choose not to make the prospecting call and not do things that I like doing this other thing better. So you got to create those habits. Here's the machine for doing it. This is the machine for new habit creation. And this is the backbone of all the stuff that we talk about here at Princeton Mortgage. Number 1 is your objective, your key results, your weekly scorecard, and then how you do that stuff in your calendar. I don't know of any other way. So let's walk through it. Objectives. What do you want your life to look like in 5 years professionally? Is it an amount of money you want to make, a promotion you want to get, an award you want to win? Is it a house that you want, a lifestyle you want, a calmness? Do you have a vision of yourself mowing your big green lawn on a ride-on tractor? Do you have a vision of yourself living in a fancy apartment with a floating staircase and brick walls? What is your vision of success? And Dree, you can show Olivia that she was in the presentation, send her that picture. All right. What is your vision of the success as your objectives? I talk to so many loan officers that are on accident because they won't even let themselves dream big enough to think about what they actually want. If your objective is not inspiring to you, you will not get anywhere near level 3, level 4, level 5. Let me say it again. If you don't spend the time on your objective, you will not get to level 3, level 4, level 5. And maybe it's level 3 because you're super talented at sales or there's some things you're super disciplined or good at, but you can't even sniff those higher levels of this if you don't know where it is you're trying to go. Because this is where intrinsic motivation comes from. You need to know where you're trying to get to. Spend time talking to people about this stuff if you don't have a clear vision, but you should have a written down clear vision of what you want your life to look like. And it can be 2 or 3 things, but it's one vision for where it is that you're trying to get to that motivates you, that is your guiding light in the star of where you're trying to get to, that will drive that habit change. Because changing your habits is incredibly hard. And if you don't know exactly what you're fighting for or where you're trying to go, it will never be worth it. Let me say it again. Changing habits is hard. If you don't have a clear vision of where you want to go, it will never be worth it for you to go through the pain of doing. You have to have that objective. So get that clear objective. Great. And by the way, dream big. Break out your magic wand. Dream big. It should feel uncomfortably ambitious, honestly. Right? The only way it's gonna, we call it as a company our big, hairy, audacious goal. We had 2 loan officers and we said we were going to get to 50,000 loans a year and by 2028 become a top 10 lender. That's an inspirational goal. It sets a vision. It's easy to map to. I know where I have to try to get to. I didn't know how to get there. I didn't know what I was going to do to get there. I didn't know anything other than that it was possible because somebody had done it before. And that if I did it, I would be really, really happy. And I will have enjoyed the journey. And that was it. So set your big, hairy, audacious goal for yourself. Great. So we had to break that down because I could say every day I want to be a rock star or whatever else is your objective, right? But unless I have a map in order for how to get there, I'll never get there. So the next key development piece of our map is we want to break our journey into quarterly segments, sections of 3 months, where we're going to be able to focus on developing new key habits and getting new differentiated results from those habits that are going to let us know if we're on our way, right? So in my journey to 50,000 loans a year by 2028 at Princeton Mortgage, becoming a top 10 lender, every quarter I set goals that will let me know if we're on our way. We need to recruit this many new loan officers to come work here. We need to sell this many loans as a company. We need to have this much volume, right? And the most important thing about key results is they need to be measurable. Your quarterly key results must be measurable. As I sat and did my 4th quarter key results, here's the vision I had in my head. As the ball's dropping on December 31st and I have my champagne in my hand, what are the 2 or 3 or 4 things that I'm going to be able to say in Q4 we did or didn't do, yes, no, pass, fail, that will let me know if Q4 was a success on my journey to 50,000 loans a year by 2028. So as a company, we wanted to sell 800 loans in retail, 900 loans in wholesale. We wanted to recruit $350 million in annual production from loan officers. Those are my things. They're my pillars. They're there. Those are the things that are most important to me. If I could have worked incredibly hard in Q4, but if I don't get those goals, I actually didn't advance towards my objective. And if I do get those goals, a bunch of other stuff could have gone wrong, but I have a clear path and I know that I'm on my way. And so you want to set those key results on that path. Great. So now I have quarterly goals. Every one of you guys is going to Q1. I know what I want to do. I know how many loans I want to sell. I know how many new realtors I want to get. I know how many, I want to know how many new open houses I want to go to and meet new realtors from new collisions. I have that map in my head, right? Well, how am I going to make sure that happens? Your scorecard is a list of the important but non-urgent activities that you're going to do every week. And it shouldn't take more than 10 or 12 hours a week to get 100 on your scorecard that are going to lead to you getting to those key results. So for me, when I have that map of how many loans we need to sell, how many loan officers that we need to hire. Okay, great. How many interviews do I need to do every single week? How many loans do we need to sell every single week? How many new realtors do my loan officers need to meet with every single week? Do I need to hire this person or that person or do interviews for this role or that role? And for you guys, individual loan officers, how many open houses do I need to go to? How many no cards do I need to send? How many forward conversations do I need to have, right? How many relationships do I need to get? And you want to have a weekly scorecard that lets you know how you're doing. You say, Mark, well, I know generally what I need to do. Why do I need a scorecard? Your scorecard is your mirror. We are really good at telling ourselves that we're working hard and doing a bunch of stuff. You will not know if you're productive without your mirror. The scorecard doesn't lie. But at the end of the week, when you look at your scorecard and you go, man, I worked so hard this week, but I only got a 40 out of 100 on my scorecard, you better change something going into next week or you're not going to hit your key results and you kiss your objectives goodbye. The scorecard says, you know what you're supposed to do. The score says, are you willing to do the work to get there? Now, different from your key results, which should be results-based, your scorecard is about activities. So there should be nothing ever on your scorecard where if I said to you, I'm going to shoot you on Monday if you don't get 100 on this thing, that you would ever not get to 100. In other words, they're effort-based, activity-based items that you have control of. And if I said to you, literally, it's life or death, you get there 100% of the time. Key results are not like that. Key results can oftentimes be ambitious. Things can go wrong. Markets can change. You could get hurt, whatever it is, or something else that could happen. You could miss your key results. But in terms of your scorecard, it's effort-based. 10 to 12 hours a week, important but non-urgent activities, right? So, okay, great. Do you believe you get a 100% of your scorecard every week, you'll achieve those quarterly key results? Now you have the right scorecard. And do you believe you achieve those key results, you'll have done as much as you can this quarter to achieve your overall objective? Now you have the right key results. Great. So my scorecard now is a wish list of the stuff I think I need to get done to get my wish list of the key results I need to get done in order to get to my objective, to get to my overall magic wand, big, hairy, audacious goal. Makes sense so far, right? Everybody with me so far? Cool. Well, now I'm done, right? Probably not. Because yes, it is incredibly hard work and necessary to map out your big goal. And it is incredibly hard work and necessary to figure out what you're going to focus on each quarter to advance you towards that goal. And it's even really hard work and painful sometimes to admit to yourself that these are the activities I need to do to get those key results. And maybe you'll even look at that when you write out the scorecard and go, I don't even have a full body yes to doing this stuff right now. It feels like man, that's a lot of stuff. It's overwhelming. Change your scorecard until you have a full body yes, till you feel good that you are willing to do that stuff every week and get to that stuff and that you believe it will get to your key results. But now's the hardest part, especially as a commission-based person. We get taught as commission-based people to start off with handle the urgent, sell a deal, answer your phone, do the thing. And all that stuff, by the way, is true. But we have to manage that in a very difficult world of we have to find this 10 to 12 hours a week of important but non-urgent activity time. This is where your calendar comes in. Now you must schedule your scorecard activities in your calendar. What does that mean? I mean, literally, if you pull up your calendar in Outlook, you've time blocked time for how long it's going to take you to get everything in your scorecard done. And another little trick for this that I recommend is I see people say, okay, I'm going to do all my prospecting calls in a 2-hour block. Then in the first 10 minutes of that 2-hour block, you get an emergency phone call from a borrower or from somebody else. And they're like, this is urgent. And by the way, it is, and you have to address it. So you know what happens? You address the urgent thing, you get back to your computer and you're like, well, I guess that 2-hour block is done. And you move on. And that's really painful because you never get that 2 hours back. So what I recommend is if you're going to do a 2-hour block, actually have 4 half-hour calendars in there. And if one of your half hours gets blown up, it's a whole lot easier to move that half hour to another spot on your calendar. And it's impossible to move that 2-hour block to another spot on your calendar. And so it's the discipline of how to manage that time. But here's what the other thing your calendar will do for you. Once you commit to that 10 to 12 hours a week of important but non-urgent activity, you know what it gives you the freedom to do? Say no. What do you mean? Well, to-do lists are evil because you have a to-do list and if anyone says, can you do this? Do you have time to have this meeting, to go to this place, to do this thing, to go to the game tonight, to go out on the date, to grab a drink? And you're like, yeah, I'll just do the to-do list stuff tomorrow. And the to-do list gets bigger and longer. And every day you write your new to-do list and you start off with the same 3 things that have been there for 3 weeks. Man, oil change for my car, that can be on the to-do list until the engine seizes. It's never urgent. You just keep moving it down the line. You just keep saying yes to something else in front of it, right? So we have to build this stuff into the calendar. We want to do it in time blocks where it gives us the flexibility we need to handle the urgent, but that we prioritize that 10 to 12 hours a week. And then we know what we need to say no to. Because remember this, as a commission-based salesperson, every single thing you say yes to means you're saying no to something else. And without a calendar, you don't know what that thing is. That thing you might be saying no to is a new relationship that will lead to you making hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next 10 years. But you'll never even know it because you just blew off that one meeting to say yes to something else. And so what time blocking does and having this in your calendar does is it allows us to be super disciplined with where we spend our time, what we say no to, and to be able to measure what's working and what isn't in our scorecard. So your calendar should say, wow, if I lived my 40 hours this week by my calendar, I think I get 100 on my scorecard. That seems pretty simple and linear. If I lived my calendar this week I'd get 100 on my scorecard. That's the time I have to spend doing that stuff. That feels pretty good. Well, if I got 100 on my scorecard every week for 12 weeks, it means I've really probably hit my key results, right? And so I know I had a really good quarter. And suddenly I've had a quarter that is on its way to my fairy tale journey, my big, hairy, audacious goal, my level 4 or level 5 activity, right? Anything is possible if you're willing to take that journey and tie those things together. So objective, key results, scorecard, calendar. If those things are married and talking to each other, and it can take you a year or two to figure this out and marry it the right way. My first 6 quarters, I set objectives and key results. I missed them completely. Failed, crashed and burned, got between 30 and 60%. It was a nightmare. I was like, I'm a failure. And in quarter 7, it clicked. And every single quarter since then, I've been 80% or higher. I've gotten really good at knowing what's achievable in a 3-month period, what I need to set up my weeks in order to get there, how I need to set up my calendar. But I had a year and a half of failure in this process to get there. I was operating at a level 3. I was hustling, hardworking, had some amazing individual skills that were enabling me to succeed and drive revenue for my company. But in order for me to be the leader that would be able to attract other leaders, I had to develop the skill sets to be level 4 plus. And that required me becoming a different person. And this process is what helped me get there. It's what's led me to be able to teach this class today, the work that I was able to do. It was no longer, I'm going to go try to read a book a week. It was, this is when I read the books. And when I say yes to this, I'm saying no to that book. And I'm not willing to say no to that book because it's what I need to get to my objective. And man, am I focused on 50,000 loans a year by 2028. It motivates me every single day. So that's the presentation, guys. Hope you found it useful. I know there's a lot of stuff there, but I want to open it up to you guys. We have about 18 minutes left. What questions do you guys have about any of those different steps? It can be about the levels themselves, where you're at, self-assessment on that. It can be about how you go ahead and build out your scorecard or your calendars. And we have some tools here that we can send out to anybody. If you guys reach out, we can send you our stuff for how we do that. I'm happy to send you a copy of our wholesaling system if you'd like to, so you can kind of see how all these things tie together. But this is a journey. So wherever you are today, feel good about where you are. The first step is actually a self-diagnosis of where I am and feeling okay about it. And then getting to a growth mindset of, just because this is not who I am, this is where I am. It's not who I am, it's where I am. Questions?
I have a quick one, Mark.
Sure.
If I'm a loan officer and I have my calendar all mapped up with my non-urgent but important activities, and then like a 911 comes in, how do I decipher if that 911 takes precedence over my calendar activities?
So that's a great question. And so the first thing is I think, first of all, there's some nuance to it, right? But here's what I would say is, I think oftentimes we think that if we don't handle someone's questions immediately, they're going to think we don't value them. The reality is, when people feel us valuing ourselves, they tend to be more respectful of our time. You probably have this in your personal relationships. It's like dating. If you're in a relationship with somebody, you're dating somebody, and every time they call, you answer on the first ring, they actually start to value you differently, because now it's a distance to a pursuer dance. If you're pursuing that hard or you're calling them all the time, there's a distance. It's kind of the same thing with this. I find that very often something that people think of as urgent, if I say, hey, listen, I'm actually going to be dealing with all these types of things between 2 and 4 today. Do you mind if I call you back at 2:15? People are like, awesome, totally good. And by the way, it makes me seem busy. It makes me seem successful. They appreciate that I got back to them. They appreciate that I set a time, and now we're time blocked for that specific time. It's in my calendar, and they feel good about addressing that. And by the way, then I can be fully present at 2:15 for them and do a really good job taking care of their issue. If I answer the phone right now and I'm stressed about not doing the thing that's in my calendar, and I'm trying to rush the phone call, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be there for everybody all the time, you can't grow your business. Everything is depending on you and your availability. You will break at some point, right? So to me, urgent is, hey, my stuff's on the moving truck and my loan's not going to close. Cool, deal with that. That's really important, right? So that you have a bunch of other people who have a real emergency and they're depending on you. That's important, right? I have some questions for you right now, and the answers aren't going to change between now and 2:15. Call back at 2:15, right? The more you value your time, the more other people will value your time. And so this is a really hard thing for people because, again, so many level 3s or level 2s got there because they were the available guy, right? Your loan officer doesn't answer, I will. Call me. I'll answer in the movie theater. I'll piss everybody off. Broadway play, no problem. I got you. Nothing's more important than your phone call. But that will break you, and it actually makes people take advantage of you at a certain point. And so the best loan officers, the level 4s and level 5s that I know, here's what happens when I call them. Thank you for calling. Today is 11:18, and I will be returning phone calls between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. If this is an emergency, please reach out to your processor at whatever number that's at. But I really thank you for your call, and I'm never too busy for your referrals. But I'll be returning all calls between 2 and 4 p.m. Please leave a detailed message. Leave a message. Hey man, blah, blah, blah. 2 to 4 o'clock, 100% of the time I get a phone call back. That's how the best loan officers operate. And you might say, like, wait, I don't understand. Everyone's just waiting for 2 to 4 o'clock. Yeah. If you want to work with the best, you'll wait between 2 and 4 o'clock. How long would you wait for the right doctor if you needed a bypass surgery and you had heart problems and you knew that that was the best doctor? People have no problem waiting for the best. We make this decision all of the time. Right? We order iPhones or watches weeks in advance and wait for them with anticipation. We are perfectly fine and conditioned to actually value things sometimes by how long we have to wait to get them. And so being urgent and available all the time, I think becomes its own problem. And so again, if you're level 1 or level 2 and you're scrambling for business, does that mean you should not answer your phone and sit around while you're doing something else? I don't know. I think I'd probably be more likely to answer my phone. But most of us feel pretty busy, in my estimation. And so that time, the more discipline you can have around your process and what's a real emergency is something where somebody else is going to be having an emergency if I don't make myself available, and then I'll do what I can. Now, when you really get to level 4 and level 5, it becomes about having the team in place that can handle those emergencies without you having to get involved. And that's another piece of the equation. So great question, Michelle. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it.
Hey, Mark, we have a question from Jason Davis. He put it in the chat and he said, in your experience, what is the best way to move from level 2 to level 3? How do you get off the pipeline roller coaster?
I mean, it really starts with what I think are the essential, important, but non-urgent activities of prospecting. I know that sounds like that's not never first of all, if you show me any salesperson who's struggling or wants to get to the next level, the answer is prospecting. Now that sounds like a weird answer after all the things we just talked about. Like, how could it just be prospecting? Well, it is, right? Now, at level 2 and level 3, it's usually more about the discipline of actually sitting down and doing it at a certain time every day or a certain time every week, more than it is building up your team or doing other things. But like even level 4, what you're really saying is, I need to build a team to do all this other stuff so I can get to more prospecting. And yes, I have to have better habits and become a better person, have better thought processes, but really it's, how do I do more prospecting? So all levels of loan officer to the next level become about doing those important but non-urgent prospecting activities, right? Urgent is I've never had a loan officer who failed because they didn't do the urgent, right? They're like, you know what, Mark, I just can't motivate myself to take this application. I've never seen a realtor who was like, oh, this person wants to put an offer in, I'm just too busy. It's all the other stuff along the way, all the other work that we do along the way that gets us to that place, right? So level 2 to level 3 is, hey, even when your pipeline's big, you got to put that 10 hours of important but non-urgent work in. And if you can't do that, if you have enough loans, first of all, are you at the right company? Are you getting the support you need from your company? Because if you're closing 4 or 5 loans a month, you should not need help to do that. You should still be able to find your 10 hours. But now maybe you're closing 6 loans, 7 loans, 8 loans, right? Maybe your clients have complicated loans and there's stress on you and your system. Now it's time to look at hiring an assistant or hiring a shared assistant or having some help or building up a process so that you can have somebody else doing all of the urgent work so that you can do that 10 to 12 hours a week no matter what. If you can say 10 to 12 hours a week of doing those things, no matter what, and you're constantly adjusting your business and your life around how you can get those 10 to 12 hours a week in, your business will keep growing. The minute you stop prospecting, your business is shrinking. The second that you say, I'm not going to prospect, your business is shrinking. Right? And so that's my best advice for you in level 2 to level 3, or really any of these other levels, is how am I going to adjust my life, my schedule, my team, my lifestyle, so that I can make sure I hit those 10 hours a week no matter what. And if you want to know what to do in those 10 hours a week, it's collide with realtors or other referral partners. Go to open houses, go to the networking event, go to the bar, join the social club, join the kickball league, and meet realtors. Our loan officers here meet 5 realtors a week. That's 250 realtors a year. You can be a pretty unlikable person. You'll probably make some pretty good friends. If you're likable, you'll have more business than you know what to do with. Have a 5 to 7 minute conversation with 5 realtors a week, and all of the rest of this stuff will take care of itself. And know your value proposition. Practice it. Why should somebody work with you? Right? That's a real big part of it as well. Great, guys. What other questions do you have? Thank you for that question. I super appreciate it. Anybody? All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed the presentation. And I'm super happy to continue to build off of these for future presentations. If we want to get into the how to do all this other stuff and what to put on your scorecard and how to build it out, there's a ton of content here. This is a really high level view. But at the end of this, if you're feeling like, man, I need to make some changes, I know I want to do more, start working with a coach or an accountability person. You can't afford a coach, have an accountability partner, have somebody you meet with every week to go over this stuff and keep pushing yourself forward. If you can't afford a coach, or you work for an organization with coaching, have those weekly meetings and push this stuff forward. I think the best thing you can possibly do to invest in yourself is spend time on this stuff, have mentorship, have coaching, invest in it. You will always find enough time to do the loans if you're finding enough time to do the personal development stuff along the way. So thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. And we hope to see you guys at our next one. Thanks so much.
Great. Well, thank you guys. Again, we'll follow up with a recording and a copy of the deck too, so that you guys can review this at your own time. You should expect that in your inbox tomorrow. So thank you guys for joining. We'll also ask for any feedback and if you have any recommendations on additional topics that you'd like to see in the future. So everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.